So the Senate leaving Washington for the August recess is scheduled following a weekend marathon of overnight voting. However, there was no vote on the Save America Act. More GOP senators now acknowledging they don't have the votes to pass it. That leaves the election integrity bill's fate up in the air ahead of the midterms. I want to bring in Texas Congressman Chip Roy. He's a member of the House Judiciary Committee and is the original author of the Save America Act. So, Congressman, your colleague Randy Fine joined us earlier, and he warned that the Republican base is frustrated that the bill has not passed. Do you see this being a problem for the party come the midterms?
Well, we certainly believe the Senate should have taken up the bill. We certainly believe that the bill is important, not just for the base, but for America, to understand and believe that your elections are going to be secure. Look, the Save America Act, which, as you noted, I authored 2 years ago in 2024. Mike Lee authored in the Senate. We've passed it 4 times in the House. Virtually all Republicans in the Senate believe we should pass it. You obviously have a handful that don't want to go down the road of either adjusting the filibuster or using reconciliation to move the bill. That's why they hit a wall this last week. I think the Senate should have stayed in. I think they should keep fighting to show the American people they're fighting for them. The Senate didn't do that. Maybe they'll come back, but I doubt it. So I think we need to focus in September, the House and the Senate, on finishing the job and delivering for the people. If we want to win in November, if Republicans want to be given the majority again in the House and the Senate, then we need to do what we said we would do. Secure America. That's what the Save America is about, securing elections. Finish the job the president's doing on the border. Codify what he's doing to secure the border. Let's limit the flow of some of the people coming into our country from countries that want to do us harm by pausing immigration. And then finally, let's get affordability under control. EJ's been talking about a lot of good things there on the show. EJ's a good friend. We're at war. That has some consequences. I think the American people want to see a fast resolution. And they also want to know that we're going to focus on healthcare, housing, food, and we can do that by stop government spending and meddling, free things up so that people can start affording what they need at home. So these are the things we got to address, and we don't have a lot of time to do it, but we got to demonstrate that we're willing to fight for the American people.
Rent, groceries, healthcare. Talk to the American people about what they are frustrated with, and those are the things they're frustrated with. I want to ask you about this. Joe Gruters was on yesterday on a program, and he said this, and the headline is, the RNC chair predicts the GOP retains the House and the Senate after the midterms. But here's what he said, and this is regards to the House. He said, we start at 212 likely seats. There's 18 toss-up seats. We need 6. I bet you we win 10. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I long ago decided not to get into the prediction business on seats because it often blows up on you. But here's what I'll tell you. Democrats are nominating a lot of radical people, okay? And that's on the House side and the Senate side. Obviously, we saw what just happened in Michigan, where they chose someone much more radical to be their nominee. We've seen it in other places as well. And so I think there's a lot of revolt. There's a lot of, resistance by the American people to where the radical DSA type candidate is going. But Republicans can't just depend on the fact that Democrats are nominating radical nominees to win the election. I think we've got to get out and finish strong in order for us to gain seats or hold the line in the House and in the Senate. Right now at the election we're today, I'd be pretty darn nervous as a Republican. I think the map favors us, obviously, with redistricting, but we can't depend on those things. We need to finish strong in September on the things the American people care about. Look, my wife and I, we go through the same decision-making as every other American. I've got to figure out how to afford health care. We have to figure out how to afford fuel. We have to figure out how to afford groceries. I just had a birthday weekend, and we were going to go buy, groceries yesterday, and it's not easy. It's difficult for the average American family out there. We've got to speak to them on their level, on their issues, do what we said we would do. The president's doing a good job. I think we've done a lot of good things, but we've got to finish the job. And the Senate leaving town kind of tail between their legs was not a momentum booster. And I think we need to finish strong in September.
Well, to your point about what Americans are saying at the grocery store and at the gas pump, 3/4 of Americans in recent Fox News polling rate the economy negative. 3 3/4, and then 3/4 also say inflation has caused them specifically financial hardship. So when you have that type of feedback coming in, you're listening. And I applaud you for listening to these voters who are saying that they're frustrated. I do want to pivot back there really quick here. The Senate held one vote early Saturday morning on the voter ID bill. Democrats voted against it, and they blocked it, of course, from the 60-vote threshold. But, this polling is finding that 83% of registered voters support showing a valid ID when registering to vote. 77% support showing valid ID to vote. So if the Senate can't get this very popular bill through, I mean, is there any hope that any of this can pass?
Well, this is one of those things where I believe continuing to work through it and slog through it matters. I want to remind people that in 1964, Democrats were blocking the Civil Rights Act, right? And Republicans held the line and forced the vote. And for 3 months, they left it on the floor of the Senate. They fought through it. They went to the American people, and they were able to get it done. We believe that if we hold the line and keep fighting on this issue, we will win it. It is an overwhelmingly popular issue. And by the way, it is critical to being able to fix all of the issues we're talking about with respect to spending, inflation, war, all of these tough issues where you've got a divided House and Senate, a divided America. The average American, they believe in secure elections. They believe in voter ID. They believe in a lower amount of government spending, generally speaking. They want to just be able to go about their job, get prices down. And we're having a battle in Washington that's reflecting that. We've got to finish the job here with respect to the SAVE Act as well as on the spending front. But the Democrats gave up the game there. Not one of them. Remember, they said, well, we don't like those portions of the Save America Act that are about citizenship. We like voter ID. Bull. They just had a vote on voter ID. Oh, and by the way, coupled with limiting congressional stock trading, which, by the way, I was one of the leaders on that issue as well, introducing a bipartisan bill in 2020, and they rejected it. They're saying, no, we want to keep trading stocks. And by the way, we want to be able to, ban or stop this ban on stop this requirement that we have a voter ID check. That's absurd. And that's, I think, giving up the game. The Democrats are more concerned about their power than integrity in elections.
Well, and that is why you've seen so many of these potential Democratic 2028 candidates pick up the phone and call Abdullah Sayed in Michigan or go to Michigan because they see that he's somebody like him or somebody like Zohran Mamdani in New York is gaining power and getting votes, and they want that power. And that's exactly what they're doing. Especially with socialism being such a polarizing issue for so many Americans, to your point earlier, Congressman. So it's great to see you as always, Congressman Chip Roy. We're going to be watching your return to Washington.
Greetings from the Hill Country. Good to see you.
All right. Thank you.